What's going on, JP Football Fanatics fans? It's your boy James here, back with you once again for your NFL Week 5 picks for the 2023 NFL season. So, with that being said, 5 weeks through the season, it couldn't have gone any better, couldn't have come any other way. I can't even believe we've been through a month of football already, which is absolutely insane to even think about, to be honest with all of you. I never thought that we would have came in to 5 weeks of football so early, so soon. So I'm so glad that we're all able to do this. I'm glad I'm able to do these picks with you. I love doing these every week with you guys, being able to talk with you about football, being able to relate to you in terms of all the different picks that I have for the week. So it really does mean a lot. So thank you for everybody that tunes in each and every week. I know the last couple of months I've had some people kind of reach out, had some people tune in to my live streams and everything like that. We do have one person that's on so far. So I'm actually going to post on Facebook so that way everybody's kind of aware that, everybody knows that I am on the on air now. So with all that being said, everybody, please be sure, if you have not done so already, please be sure to drop a like on this video if you have not done so already. So drop a like on this video. Leave a comment down below, guys. I know that, with everything that we go through and everything, and with all the different stuff that goes on, throughout the football season and everything too, I just love talking about football. And it's just an amazing feeling. So if you please just drop a like and leave a comment down below and just tell me as far as like what you guys are thinking. What do you guys feel about the season? What do you guys are thinking so far about your favorite team and all that other glorious stuff? So leave a comment down below, drop a like on this video, and hit that subscribe button too. Hit up the subscribe button, and every time that I go live or I post new content on this channel, you guys are the first ones that will always be would always be relevant to everybody. So, all the things that I post about these things. So, just leave a comment down below, like the subscribe button, and like this video as well. And let me know what kind of NFL content that you guys want me to cover as I go through the rest of the season. So, thank you again to everybody that's tuning in. Sorry, I'm just kind of finishing up on a text here, really quickly. And I'm also posting on Facebook so more people know that I am here live right here, right now. So just bear with me for a second. So that way everybody can kind of get that word out and everything. Everybody will be on the same page and be able to do that. So I apologize if nobody was able to tune right in. But there's also a replay that everybody will be able to get a chance to watch if nobody is able to right now. So that's the great thing about technology. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. Really does help out the cause for everybody. And, just thank you so much for doing it. It really does mean a lot. So with all that being said, everybody, I did get everything set up. So we're all ready to go. Hopefully more people do come on. Hopefully more people will be able to be more in tune with it. So again, I apologize for the delay. So let's go ahead. I want to get this pick out of the way before Thursday Night Football starts. We'll start off with this first game right here, which I'll pull up on the screen. Actually, before I do that, let me show you all my Week 4 picks record in terms of how it went for this week. So not exactly the way that I was kind of hoping. I was hoping that I would have been able to, be able to do a lot more with what I had and chosen with my picks. But last week was kind of a weird week for many people, including myself. And the last week was not really a pretty week for me. 7-9 overall. The overall record, 33-31, so barely above 500. So my picks have not been solid this year. I apologize. I'm trying to get better at this. I really want to, not let you guys down in terms of like if you do this for betting or just for fun and things like that. I just, I got to get better than that. So 7-9 for the week, 33-31 overall. Not exactly the way that I was hoping I would start the season, but it happens sometimes, and just got to try to get better from there because it's important. I want to try to help the channel grow, and if I don't help the channel grow, that means I'm doing something wrong. So that's very important for me to be able to get this all done and correct for all of you. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Thursday Night Football game, which will be happening in about 9 minutes. Have my fantasy teams kind of set up and everything this week. So I have Justin Fields as my quarterback for tonight's game. So hopefully that pays off very well. So first games first, we've got the Chicago Bears versus the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are favored here in this game. Last I checked, it was 6.5 points. Um, the Bears were unfortunate last week to lose to the Broncos the way that they did. They led that game the entire time, 28-7. Fell apart completely in the second half in that last quarter. Justin Fields doing what Justin Fields does, turns the ball over, allows the other team to get back on track, and that's just exactly what happened last week. So the Broncos ended up getting that win, that lucky win last week, and the Bears suffer now to 0-4. I'll just kind of get this out of the way. I think the Bears are going to lose again this week. I think the Commanders are going to win. The Commanders have been kind of sneaky good. Not great, maybe not like Super Bowl contender, maybe not even playoff hopeful or anything like that. But they've been sneaky good though this year. Sam Howell has played some pretty good football within 4 weeks. I know the Buffalo game was probably his worst game that we've seen from him this season, which was kind of expected because let's face it, that Bills defense, anybody that is below average is, especially on offense, usually does not match up very well with the Buffalo Bills defensive front and their secondary players. So the Commanders have been playing some pretty good football. I felt last week that they should have beaten the Eagles. They had every opportunity to. Ron Rivera missed out on that 2-point conversion in that game, which basically lost them the game, and that really hurt them a lot. So that kind of dropped their record to 2-3, or 2-2, excuse me. But I think they're going to go 3-2 this week. There's not much I really like about the Bears. Justin Fields probably could have a good game in this game. Maybe not as explosive or maybe not as good as he did last week with dropping almost 30 points in my fantasy league, which I had him on my bench. That brings back some bad memories, but I still ended up winning without him anyway. But regardless, though, this team is just not very good. They are the worst team in the NFL for a reason. They're just not a very good team, and the Commanders can beat up on them on any which way. They might give up some points. They might give up the ground game a little bit. Their secondary is kind of a bit of a question mark, but their defensive line is the most healthiest that it's been in quite some time. So if they can get some pressure on Justin Fields and avoid the passing game, they could have some success there. But I think they're going to struggle in terms of Justin Fields' ability to be able to scramble out of the pocket and make some plays on his feet, as well as any of the running backs that are playing for this team tonight, like Khalil Herbert or Johnson, those kind of players right there. The Commanders on the other side, the offense is something to talk about. The offensive line been kind of subpar this year, not exactly the greatest, but Sam Howell himself has been playing some pretty good football. I'm not going to lie. I thought he's been playing some really solid football for this team. Maybe not the future, maybe not a long-term answer for this franchise, but for now he's stable. He's stable. He can make some plays within the pocket, which is very important. He can scramble out of the pocket as well. He builds a really good rapport with his wide receivers. Run game has kind of been, up and down, hit or miss this year. So run game probably will be a big factor there, but they can take advantage. I think they'll have a lot of opportunities to score within the passing game because Chicago's pass defense is just not good at all. They lost all their good defensive players within the last couple of seasons, and now they're kind of building from scratch again and trying to see what their defense can do. Defense is just not very good, and that's why I have the Commanders winning this game. So I'm taking the Commanders to win. I probably would also take them if you are betting on this game, and if you did take the spread, I think it's a smart choice for you to do that because I feel that they can cover, but also I could also see Chicago kind of keeping it close in some ways. They can probably make it like a 24-21 game. So just kind of miss the spread here a little bit, but I think they're going to cover the spread. I think the overall score is going to be at least 6 points, at least a touchdown separating between the two teams, and I think it ends up being the Commanders on top. So I'm taking the Commanders to win. They'll win this game overall, and I think they will also cover the spread too. Next game I have here is the Jacksonville Jaguars. For 2 weeks in a row, the Jags are in London, and they will be playing the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills in this game, for whatever reason, they are considered, quote-unquote, the home team for this game, which is a little bit strange due to the fact that the Jags have been there since last week, so I kind of feel that's a little bit weird on why the NFL kind of did it that way. But regardless, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it now. But the Bills are quote unquote the home team in London, and they are favored by 5.5 points. Jacksonville had a big win last week against Atlanta. That wasn't really that crazy of a win. Their offense looked like they were back in sync a little bit, but my questions in terms of how their offense is very much so in question. The offensive line is dreadful, has not been playing all that great. Trevor Lawrence has had some good moments, but there's also been moments where he's been very flat too. Him and Calvin Ridley just haven't really been able to connect and make the big plays that we thought that they were going to and help this offense out a lot. So they have not been able to really do that. They can't really run the ball consistently with Travis Etienne. And then defensively, they've been very, very, very inconsistent as well. They give up a lot of yardage. They give up so many points through the air, on the ground, you name it. Their defense is just very much of a big question mark. The Bills, on the other hand, though, the Bills, ever since they lost to the Jets in Week 1, they've been dominant in all three phases. Last week, they're coming off of a huge win over the Miami Dolphins. With that it was a nearly 30-point win there, 48-20. That game was after the Dolphins came off an historic win. So the Bills right now are much, much hotter than we thought they would have been all season long. We thought this was going to be a team that was going to be taking a step back this year in terms of their play. The offense was going to take a step back, but they've been kind of taking that step forward now. So this is a game where Jacksonville has to win, but I don't think they're going to win this week. I think this is a very highly competitive game that the Bills have this opportunity to win. I know Jacksonville usually plays very well in London. That's basically their home stadium because they always play there every year. But the Bills have been so dominant in every phase of every game besides Week 1 since that loss. And I feel the Bills they have something to prove right now. Josh Allen is playing out of his mind since that Jets game. The offensive line has been playing better. Stephon Diggs all over the field. Gabe Davis is being more consistent than he was last year. The run game actually looks more consistent and looks more watchable than it was last year too. That also says a lot. And then defensively, they lost Tre'Davious White for probably the rest of the year, but they still got a bunch of big-time players that are still on this defense that I think without Tre'Davious White, they're going to miss him quite a bit, but I think they can still dominate on defense and take advantage of a very subpar offensive line from Jacksonville. So with that being said, I'm doing the right thing, and I will take the Buffalo Bills to win this game in London. But I would take Jacksonville to cover the plus 5.5 because I think this game will be very close. I think, in my honest opinion, I think the Jags will find a way to kind of keep it close in some ways. They'll keep it to maybe a 2-point game, 3-point game, within that 5-point span right there. I think they will because they have a big fan base in London because that's where they play basically every year. So I think they're going to keep it close, but I think the Bills are going to come out on top, and I think it's going to be high-flying, explosive offense. Basically, I think Josh Allen will torch up on the secondary just like he has the last couple of weeks when he's played opposing teams. So the Bills to win, the Bills to cover the spread. I think that's a pretty fair bet right there. Next, we got the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to Foxborough, Massachusetts to play the New England Patriots. And the Patriots in this game are favored by 1.5 points. I'll throw this out there right now. The Patriots are looking dead in the water right now. That game last week against Dallas was completely unacceptable. It should have never went as bad as it did, and they're coming out of injuries out of it. So no Christian Gonzalez for the rest of the year. That hurts a lot, especially in the secondary. Rumor has it that they are trying to trade for J.C. Jackson. They're trying to get him back to play for this team. They're trying to work out a deal with the Chargers to get J.C. Jackson on this defense and if they do get J.C. Jackson back for this team, that could definitely be a big factor in their secondary. It'll definitely make them look a lot more composed and a lot more elite than without a really good corner, a good safety, and that sort of thing. A good corner at least. No Matthew Judon. Looks like Matthew Judon is also going to be out for this game. So their defense is banged up already in week 5. Offensively, the offensive line took an absolute beating last week. Mac Jones also took a big beating last week. This was probably the worst game in Mac Jones' career. The run game wasn't consistent, but I think they can kind of pick that back up again, maybe. But this is definitely a game that is not going to be for the ages. So when you kind of take a look at the Saints side, we'll take a look at their side. They're also banged up a lot too. Their defense is very good, even with some aging players on there. They're still a pretty good defensive unit. Their offense has been very also subpar as well. Their offense has not really done enough to score enough points on any of these teams. So like Derek Carr, I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought he would have taken it home for this offense for the Saints, and thought he would have been probably better than Jameis Winston. But right now, it just doesn't look like it. It looks like that Derek Carr is definitely hurt right now, so he could potentially be missing in this game. Although they did say that last week, and he played last week, so I think it's very much in question that Derek Carr's his status as far as playing for this week may not happen. So they might have to turn to Jameis Winston in this game, which probably wouldn't be much of a difference there either, because Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. We've all seen that before. We know how he is, and it's usually not very pretty when he does play the game of football. So this is a really tough matchup. This is going to be kind of a low scoring, kind of an ugly game, an ugly day for both teams. It doesn't look like it's going to be much of anything personally. So I'm not sure who I'm going to pick in this game. I don't really think it's a big factor here as far as how this game is going to go. But I think I'm going to do the safe thing, and I think I'm going to take the Patriots to win. If the Patriots don't win this game, I won't pick the Patriots for the rest of the year. Their offense needs to get themselves back on track. They need to get themselves in check to be able to score points. Their defense is beat up. They still could probably take advantage of a very weak offense in the Saints. They're not exactly as good of an offense as we thought they were going to be during the offseason. The offensive line is suspect. Their wide receivers are the best part of this whole team. They just don't have enough time to catch the ball when needed. And then their run game, especially with Alvin Kamara last week. Alvin Kamara looks like he is not the same guy that he used to be. So who knows how much time he really has left to be playing in the National Football League. Who knows how long that's really going to be for him to be playing in that aspect. So I don't know. This is a really tough game, but I'm going with the Patriots as the home team, and I'm taking the 1.5 here. I feel like Bill Belichick he's not going to lose 2 games in a row twice in one season. I just don't see that happening personally. But if it does happen, I won't pick the Patriots for the rest of the year. You can definitely count on that. But the Patriots need that get-right game. This is their best opportunity to be able to do that. So I will take the Patriots to win. I'll take the Patriots to also cover the spread as well. They definitely should be able to make it a very close, contested game that could be a field goal or less dividing these two teams. All right, next up, you've got a divisional rivalry game between the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored at 1.5 points. The Titans have been up and down all year. They're a team that's very hard for me to figure out. I don't know which team of the Titans we're going to be seeing this Sunday. It could be the same team as we saw when they played against the Bengals last week, or they could be the team that we saw 2 weeks ago that played against the Browns and got absolutely blown out. So I don't know which Titans team you're going to see. But the Colts, I feel underratedly, like when you're looking at them in an underrated standpoint, I think the Colts are actually better. I think the Colts are more explosive on offense. I think Anthony Richardson right now is looking like he is a better quarterback in this division. Obviously, you've got C.J. Stroud, who's probably the best one right now, arguably. Then Trevor Lawrence. Then you've got Anthony Richardson there. Ryan Tannehill is probably the worst one in this division. And I like Ryan Tannehill a lot. And I've given Ryan Tannehill a lot of, credit over the years in terms of how he's played for Tennessee, but these last couple of seasons just hasn't really been the same way as he used to be because of all the receiver help that he had. Once had a good offensive line and everything when Tennessee was at their prime. But the Titans are out of their prime now. They're not exactly a great team. They're not a great offense, but their defense keeps them in a lot of these games. And that's also a big factor to think about here, too, because the Titans have always owned the Colts for the last couple of seasons, and they've always played some real dominant games. And Ryan Tannehill has always played some of his best football when it's came to against the Indianapolis Colts. But I think the Colts are a pretty sneaky good team this year. I really think they, with those couple of wins, they probably haven't played their best schedule all season long so far. But I think when you take a look at Anthony Richardson, you take a look at the way of how he plays the game, and you take a look at his tape, you realize that this guy already has what we're asking for as far as an NFL quarterback goes. Now, maybe there are some things that probably isn't exactly it isn't exactly pretty and something that has to be worked on. So maybe like the consistency of his passing game is not exactly great, but his ability to be able to run is also very efficient for this team because they are what the Titans once was, and that was a one-dimensional team of being able to run the ball. So I'm going to take the Colts to win. I think the Colts are overall, right now, they look like they're the better team. Their running ability, their Anthony Richardson being used as like that dual threat quarterback is going to hurt the Titans in a way. It'll keep it close. I think they'll keep it a very close game. But right now, with the way that they're playing, with the way of how consistent their offense has been and how good their defense has been, even without, Stephon Gilmore and all those players that they once have and they traded away for to kind of rebuild this team, they still got some touch on their team. So I like what they're doing right now, and I think they're going to come out on top and beat the Titans. But I think it's going to be a close game, though, than people think. I think it's going to probably come down to like the tail end of one more possession, and the Titans tried to win it by a touchdown, and Ryan Tannehill turns the ball over somehow, or somebody turns the ball over, or the offensive line doesn't block, which their offensive line is pretty bad too. So the Colts to win, but the Titans, I think they'll keep themselves in the game. So I'll take the Titans at +1.5, but the Colts to win the straight up game. That might be a risk taker for some people, but I think it's totally worth it. I think it's something that you should definitely look on. All right, next game, you got a rivalry game for this week, and that's the Baltimore Ravens, who are 4.5-point favorites to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers right now, we don't know if they're going to be with or without Kenny Pickett. So that is going to probably force the Steelers and Mike Tomlin to go in there and have Mitch Trubisky come in and play, which probably wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Like, I've always been kind of a Mitch Trubisky fan, always been a defender of him, so maybe that won't really be a bad idea to have Kenny sit this game and let Mitch come in and do what he can do to get a spark to this team going. They haven't been exactly the greatest team on earth, obviously for a lot of different reasons. One, because of all their injuries. Two, because of their offensive line, and their run game is just non-existent right now. Maybe in this particular game, because the Ravens are dealing with some defensive injuries there, maybe they can probably do a decent job with running the football, but it's also kind of not really a guarantee that that's going to be the case. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this could definitely happen, and it could be working in so many different ways. So I will definitely take the I think I'm going to take the Ravens to win the game, though, on the road, but the Steelers to cover the spread at 4.5. Every year when we see these two teams go at it, it's always a competitive game. It's always close between, both of these teams, always, every single year. That it's always very close. It's always exciting. It's always low scoring. So, and of course the Ravens offense is also struggling with some injuries right now. No more J.K. Dobbins for the rest of the year. So Lamar is going to have to do the bulk of the running because Gus Edwards, we don't know what his condition's always like, and Justice Hill is a big question mark too. And then all the receivers are hurt too, like Odell Beckham Jr. is out. But Zay Flowers should still be playing in this game. as far as I know. Mark Andrews, as long as he's in there too, they'll get some kind of passing game going in some ways. But I think their ability to be able to run the ball is going to be the most important factor because the Steelers' defense has been good in a lot of different categories, but their biggest struggle is being able to run, is being able to stop the run, and we've seen that happen time and time again for all of this season. Um, that's just straight up facts right there. Is that they still can't really stop the run that well. You're pretty much able to run the ball on them. So Ravens will win this game. I will take the Ravens to win the first matchup against the Steelers on the road, but I think because it's at the Steelers Stadium, it's in Pittsburgh. I will take the +4.5 for the Steelers because I think they will keep it very, very close, just like these two teams do every single year. But I think the Ravens, on the other hand, right now are the better team personally, and they're kind of expected to win kind of right now at least. So um, Ravens win, but the Steelers will cover the spread. All right, next game we've got is the Carolina Panthers and the Detroit Lions. So the Lions are favored by 9 points. I'm going to kind of just keep this short, sweet, and to the point so that way everybody kind of gets the idea. I can't take I can't go in there and I can't take the Panthers to win this game. I'm sorry, but right now the Panthers are looking like they are going to be a team that's going to be drafting in the top 2 next year. At the very least, they could probably get the number 1 pick again next year. Bryce Young, I'm very concerned about Bryce Young and his ability to be able to escape from pressure. He has not been able to do that as a number 1 overall quarterback that was drafted last year. He hasn't been able to really live up to the hype of what everybody was able to do at this time. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Their wide receivers are also not exactly the greatest either. Their offensive line stinks. The run game is not there. So offensively, they can't get anything started. But when you take a look at their defense, they are pretty solid. They play their hearts out every week. And when you have your defense out there for so long, and because your offense can't, you know, compete, they can't do anything, they can't convert on third downs or anything, or make some yardage happen or anything, that hurts a lot because you're trying to help this team grow. You're trying to help them do the right thing and what they're supposed to do, and they just don't do what they're supposed to do. That's just really what it is, and their offense is struggling. But Detroit, though, I really like the way Detroit is playing right now. I think they are a dark horse to go to the Super Bowl this year, or at least in the playoffs. At least I think they're going to compete in the they're going to compete at least in the playoffs this year. They definitely have the AFC North under their belt. I really do believe that's definitely going to be a big factor there. But yeah, so I just don't know if I really trust the Panthers, but I really like the Lions. I think they're definitely a top 10 team this year. No question about it. They're a top 10 team. They're playing their hearts out. Jared Goff looks like the best version of Jared Goff that we've ever seen from him before. Who would have ever thought that he would have been playing at this kind of level when he played for the Rams? We just never knew that this is something that he had his ability to be able to do. And now that he's on a really good team, he has a team that is willing to work with him. He's got a good offensive coordinator. The best offensive coordinator in the league in Ben Johnson is, a lot to speak about. So I'm taking the Lions to win. I'm going to take the Lions to win. I will take them to cover the spread. They normally play very well at home, so this is their opportunity to showcase what they got. But the Panthers are, yet again, I think they're going to struggle. I think the 9 points might be a lot, but I would go ahead and take it. That might be a risk factor for some people, but I'm going ahead and I'm going to take the points at 9 because I think when you take the points at 9, it's a lot better that way, and I think they can win by 9 because I just don't see them really being that great. I don't see the Panthers really being able to match up very well, especially if they have to face Aiden Hutchinson, who is probably at least close to a top 6, top 7 edge rusher in the National Football League already in his sophomore year. All right, next game we've got is the Houston Texans, who are going up against the Atlanta Falcons, who are favored by 1. make this short, sweet, and to the point. Again, I'm going with the Texans here. I am riding on the Texans right now for a lot of different reasons. One, CJ Stroud is shattering NFL records right now as a rookie. He is playing lights out, phenomenal football right now as a rookie. He still has yet to throw an interception. This will probably be his tougher defense that he's faced yet this year. So maybe there will be a couple turnovers from Atlanta's defense, who's been playing pretty solid the first 4 weeks, and I expect them to kind of continue that. Their offensive line is still not very good. They've got a lot of injuries there. Their wide receivers are pretty underrated too, especially when you look at Nico Collins and Tank Dell. They've been playing some really good football too. They've been helping out and stepping up to the plate where it really matters most to help out the young quarterback in CJ Stroud to make a lot of plays. And then when you look at their defense, yeah, it's probably not the greatest defense you've ever seen. They got a lot of raw and young talent on defense, especially the secondary, but their defense is a lot to be proven for. I think their defense is extremely underrated that will play very well against the Falcons, because the Falcons starting quarterback, as of right now at least, is still Desmond Ridder. If Desmond Ridder does not have a very good game, which I don't think he's going to get there, I don't think he's going to have a good game. This is going to force the Falcons to start Taylor Heinicke. And I think that would be a better choice for the Falcons, because this team is pretty decent. They have a lot of good pieces to their offense. Drake London as the wideout, Kyle Pitts. You have the best running back in the draft from this past year. You have a pretty decent offensive line, pretty good one. A nice solid defense, especially their defensive line that's been getting at it too. Their secondary players like AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates on that side, they can be a pretty decent, tough team, and this is their opportunity to be able to make that right decision of what they're going to do. So this could be Desmond Ridder's last game. Who knows? Until Taylor Heinicke comes out there and plays, and when Taylor Heinicke does, I'm going to be rooting for him, because I like Taylor Heinicke. I think he's always had a lot to be proven for, but a lot of things just have not really worked in his way. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Texans to win, though. The CJ Stroud is just absolutely playing lights out football. It's been amazing for everything that he's been doing within this year. So, yeah, I'm going in there. I am definitely going to be taking the Texans to win, and I will take them to also cover the spread at +1. I think that's a really, really good bet that I think is going to happen. I really do. All right, next game, New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. I heard somewhere that the Dolphins were favored by 11, but right now the spread is at 10.5. I'll make this short, make this simple for everybody, just to kind of relieve everybody's pain, but I'm going to take the Dolphins to win here. My Giants are an absolute mess right now. They cannot do anything on offense. Daniel Jones can't throw a football to save his life. He has no offensive line. Saquon Barkley, even if he does come back, it's not going to make a difference in this game, because I feel like they're still going to get blown out. They've been blown out in every single game that they played so far. They have not been good at all this entire season. Not at all. And their defense is just as bad, if not worse. They could be the worst defense in the NFL by a long shot, because of how often they're there. They can't stop anybody on third down. So there's a lot to be desired for in that particular aspect for the Giants. But yeah, I can't say nothing positive about the Giants right now. But when you take a look at the Dolphins, though, too, their offense got shut down last week against the Bills. They were stopped at 20 points. But I think they're going to come back and they're going to score and explode their offense yet again. Tyreek Hill should have another amazing game. No matter what the Dolphins do, they're going to do whatever they want on the Giants, and they'll take advantage of every which way. It's in their home stadium, so they can either pass the ball, they can run the ball very well too. Offensive line can block. Defense is going to get pressure on Daniel Jones. The way that the Giants have been playing this year is just completely despicable. So the Dolphins deserve their chance here. They're going to come back. They're going to redeem themselves, and they're going to redeem themselves big in this game. I'm taking the Dolphins to win. And then I know 10.5 is a lot of points, but I would take the 10.5, though, to be honest with you. The Giants are poised to be a bottom 3 team this year. They just have not been very good at all at the start of the season, and I don't think they're going to get any better. Next, you got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals. This game is in Arizona. The Bengals are favored by 3 points. The Bengals, what kind of team are the Bengals this year? We have absolutely no idea. It's very obvious that Joe Burrow is hurt. That's very obvious to us right now that Joe Burrow is hurt. He's not playing very well. He's taken a lot of sacks. The offensive line is still not very good. So, and their defense is definitely missing two of their best safeties. So they're struggling in that position. They played good the last couple, the first 2 weeks, but last week was not a very good performance by them by any means. So the Bengals season looks like it's going to go down south very quickly. The Cardinals, on the other hand, have been surprising some people. They're not great. Their roster's not great. That's not anything that we love to see. But they are showing heart. They're fighting every single week. Josh Dobbs is playing what some would say out of his mind. That's just the straight up truth that he's been playing pretty well for this team, despite all the injuries and all the different things that they've been doing. It's just it's unbelievable with how well they've been playing this year. So I feel that the Bengals are this is like their get right game. If the Bengals don't come out on top, if they don't win this game like they should, because when you take a look on paper, they should be able to win this game. But if they don't win this game, I don't know if I can take the Bengals for the rest of the year. Because if they lose this game, it's going to be hard for them to come back from a 1-4 record after a loss to this team. And that's going to hurt their chances to go to the Super Bowl and win this year, which is their biggest aspiration all offseason, is that they were going to be in the Super Bowl and they were going to be ready to go. But if Joe Burrow is playing hurt, which is very clear that he is playing hurt, it could be a long season for the Bengals if they don't win this game. But this is my final chance to take the Bengals. This is their final chance to showcase that they are still on top of the league and that they're going to work their way back, in the top 10 this year. But we got to see it first against an Arizona team that is a beatable team. So I will take the Bengals. This is my last time I'm taking the Bengals. But take the safe bet. Take the +3 for the Cardinals, because there could be a possibility where the Cardinals could pull off an upset here. They could play upset alert. So we'll see how the Bengals do. My last chance to pick the Bengals. If they don't win, I don't know if I can take them the rest of the year. All right, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams next. So the Eagles are 4.5-point favorites here on the road to Los Angeles. Now, the Rams have been playing better than what we thought they were going to play this year. I don't think anybody was expecting them to come out on top. They were able to win a couple of games. Last week they dominated against the Colts, and they were pretty well. Like, Matthew Stafford has been playing some really good football this year. I think he's definitely playing a lot better than what he did last year. They're finally playing, and they're finally figuring out what to do without Cooper Kupp, which is absolutely amazing, because before they were just targeting Cooper Kupp every single play. Like, he was getting at least almost 15 targets to 18 targets a game, it seemed like, every single time when Stafford had the ball and wanted to throw it in his direction. So they have some pretty good underrated receivers of Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell that's been stepping up. So they've had some players that have been really stepping up big in key moments. They came out on top in week 1 and beat the Seahawks, lost a couple straight before they got their week 4 win against the Colts in overtime, which they pretty much dominated that whole game. They did allow a comeback to happen, but they were able to respond back in overtime to win that game 29-23 in overtime, which was a Matthew Stafford come from behind win. Another one of those come from behind wins that Stafford's been doing for a lot of years. Now, the Eagles, on the other hand, are good still. They're still very good. I still think they're going to win the AFC East, as of right now at least. I think they're going to be competing with the Cowboys in their division. I think they're definitely going to be, at least in the top 4, maybe top 2. I think they could probably compete in top 2 in the NFC for this year. But my biggest questions about them is defense. They've been winning. They won at least 3 games this season that has been decided by a touchdown or less in every single game that they played, except for the win against the Bucks. So I expect this game to be very, very close. And I feel the Rams are going to keep it very competitive. They will take advantage of some of those pieces from the Eagles' defense that they have right now. But they'll have a tough time with being able to stop Jalen Hurts, though. I think that's one of their biggest weaknesses is that I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Jalen Hurts from doing all the things that he loves doing as a quarterback. So that's why I kind of have to go with the favorite here and have to go with the Eagles. So I am going to do that for this week at least. If I am proven wrong, I will never doubt the Rams again. Because I really do think the Rams are competitive. They are a lot more competitive than I thought they were going to be this year. They really are. And maybe because they haven't played that strict of a schedule yet, maybe that's kind of like a factor there, that they haven't really played that many tough teams yet, but this will be like their biggest test. I think they will keep it close. I think they will keep it at 4.5 at least, maybe even 3. They could probably win this. They could probably lose this game on a last-second field goal. That's something that the Eagles have been finding their ways of doing a lot as of late. So I think this will be a good opportunity for them to win. I think they're going to go in there and they're going to win this game. And I think the Eagles will win this game. I think they will take this opportunity to also cover the spread as well. Because I do think the Rams are good. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to be a good team throughout the year. I think they're going to be a surprise team that will be tough to beat week in and week out. But the Eagles right now are just, right now they're more of the superior team that's harder to beat. But don't count out the Rams, though. I think the Rams are a pretty decent team. They're a feisty team that's going to play hard week in and week out. Next, you got the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are favored by 2.5. Please, can someone just tell me why the Broncos are still being favored by Vegas? Can someone just please tell me why that is? I don't understand it at all. I don't know if I will ever understand it unless somebody says why, unless someone gives an exact reason why. The Broncos are just not good. What is something about the Broncos that everybody seems to love and enjoy? Like, why do people love the Broncos? There's nothing good about them, guys. Their defense blows. Their offense is decent enough. Russell Wilson's been playing decent enough. But what do they do that surprises you? What do they do that is creative and fun to watch? I don't think they've been fun to watch at all. I think they're a disgusting team right now that's just, it blows. Their team stinks. Then you look at the Jets and their defense and how they played. It kind of gives you hope on how Zach Wilson plays for the rest of the year. He played a pretty nice game against the Chiefs, and that was a big statement game that he played against there. That was probably the best game that he's played in his career. It was just unfortunate that he lost the way that he did, but I guess that's what happens when you have the refs on the other team's side, and that ruins your chances of winning. But I think the Jets will come out on top in this game. I really do. If Zach Wilson can play the way that he did last week, I think they're going to win this game pretty heavily too. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball very well with either Dalvin Cook or Breece Hall. I think that will be a big factor in there too. Zach Wilson, as long as Garrett Wilson gets some touches with the ball, as long as Allen Lazard is there making plays and not dropping any touchdown passes like he did last week. And if they get their tight ends in position to compete and be able to step up to the plate for this team and for Zach Wilson, I think the Jets win this game. And I think their defense will do whatever they can to keep Russell Wilson contained and do a pretty good job with stopping the run, because their run game is just not existent. It's not the greatest right now. But here's the other catch too. If Zach Wilson does not play very well and throws interceptions left and right, turning the ball over, it could be a very long night for the Jets, because it's a 4:05, 5:25, somewhere around there. It's that time frame where they are playing this game in Denver. But it will be a tough game in terms of their stadium-wise. They're playing in Denver and Mile High, so that will be a different environment based off of what they're used to, their elevation, at least in Denver, Colorado is a little bit, obviously a lot more different. The atmosphere is a lot different. The fans are a lot different than in New York. So it will be tough in that aspect, but the Jets have every opportunity to be able to come out here and say that they can win this game. And I really do believe that the Jets will find a way to win this game. And this is a game that they have to win if they want to be, a playoff team. If they want to be a playoff team and live that aspirations and be the first, that team for the first time in 13 years to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. And I think they have an opportunity to be able to do that. So I would definitely like to say that the Jets will definitely win this game. I think they will. So I'm going to take the Jets to win. But as far as the spread, it's kind of a game that I would avoid betting on though, because it's not a game that's not really worth betting on. So I'm going to take the Jets to win straight up, but it's a game I'm not going to really avoid. I'm going to avoid betting on that game. Okay, next game we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Minnesota Vikings. So the Chiefs are favored by 5.5 points for this game. I feel like this will be a pretty fun offensive explosion game to watch. Minnesota's defense is dreadful, not very good, but their offense, I feel like, can keep up with in this game, and that sort of thing. But I think the Chiefs' offense is subpar. They're not great, but as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, as long as you have Travis Kelce, that's really all you need, and you can move the ball down the field quite easily on the Minnesota defense. So I expect both teams to kind of have a field day here. The Vikings have been very close in all their games. Just the matter of the fact that they've been on the losing end of things. Last week they were fortunate enough to get that win against Carolina, who probably right now is probably one of the worst teams. They're at least a bottom 5 team in the NFL right now. So that's big there. But the Chiefs, their defense is playing the best defense I think we've seen in Patrick Mahomes' career. Without like all the stars that he used to have on offense and everything like that, he's still managing to put up some pretty good points and being able to keep the games at least very interesting. And the Vikings, on the other hand, they have a good offense with Kirk Cousins has been playing underrated this year. Nobody likes to give him credit for whatever reason. I don't know what the hate is on Kirk Cousins, but he's been playing phenomenal this season. Yet again, he's been consistent. Justin Jefferson's been a big asset. So is Jordan Addison's been doing a pretty good job getting some ball time there too, getting some playing time, getting some big time catches. The run game is also improving too with Alexander Mattison, so hopefully this will be an opportunity for them to continue to improve in the run game. Offensive line is good enough, not great, but good enough. So maybe they'll face some pressure on Chris Jones, or if Nick Bolton plays in this game, that could also be a factor there too. So this is a really close game. I'm not betting on this game because I think this is the game that kind of goes either way. Minnesota's a tough place to play. But I think really, in a way, I feel like Minnesota could pull off the upset. And I think usually the Chiefs, when you watch the Chiefs play, they usually have at least one or two upsets happen to them usually once a year. And I feel like this is the team that I think is a trap game and could upset the Chiefs. So I might just be bold enough here to take the upset and take the Vikings to win. I might be bold enough to be able to do that. So I will take the Vikings to win. I will take the Vikings to win this game straight up. But as far as the spread goes, it's going to be very challenging to see if that's going to be the case. But I would take the Vikings straight up. I'll take the Vikings at plus 5.5. As crazy as that might sound, but this is one of those potential teams that it could be a trap game for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think as long as their offense keeps them in the game, they have an opportunity. I think the Chiefs are a beatable team. And I think this is one of those teams that could beat them. So I will take the upset, take the Vikings to win, take the Vikings at plus 5.5, but I would not bet on this game. My personal opinion, just would avoid betting on this game at all costs. Next, we got 2 more games. This next one is a Sunday Night Football game, and that is with the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. So the Niners are favored by 3.5 points. So the Cowboys, yes, I know their defense is probably the best in the league. Yes, they are. They have the best pass rush in the league, but this is going to be their best offense that they've faced all season long. And the 49ers are the most complete team in the NFL right now with every bit of team that they have on them on both sides of the ball. All 22 starters are electrifying, Pro Bowl caliber, elite caliber, you name it. So, with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Brock Purdy under center, George Kittle at tight end, Deebo Samuel, who's questionable this week. Not sure if he's going to play in this game or not, but as long as Brandon Ayuk gets in there, they're going to be a pretty solid offense that's going to be very hard to beat. And I don't know if this pass rush is going to be able to get to an all-pro offensive line, especially with Trent Williams in there. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't think like Micah Parsons or anybody's going to be right in San Fran's face. This game isn't this isn't the Patriots that you play. It's not the Giants. It's not the Jets. This is the 49ers. You're playing against Kyle Shanahan, who's owned you guys for quite some time now. But the Cowboys, on the other hand, as long as their defense keeps them in the game, it will be entertaining. They will keep them in the game. But offensively, I have a lot of questions about their offense. I don't think it's necessarily as good as they were hyped up to be in the offseason. Like, I have not seen anything productive for the offense. I haven't seen Dak live up to the expectation yet. So this will be their biggest test to be able to do that. But I'm taking San Fran, the home team, to win this game, and I'm taking them to cover the spread at home. I think the 49ers are the better team overall. Their defense is good, awesome. Their defensive line is one of the best in the NFL. Their secondary players can get a good grip on some of these receivers that they have, like Brandon Cooks they can match up well with. Michael Gallup can take advantage of the offensive line too. And so I think San Fran's going to have every which way to be able to win this game. And I think they're going to go in there and they're going to win. So I'll take the 49ers to win. I take the 49ers to also cover the spread as well. All right, and the final game for Monday Night Football, it is the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are favored. I believe they are favored by 3.5, unless if it's the Packers. If I read that wrong, I'll double check on that really quickly. But I do believe. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. The Packers are favored by 1 point for a second. Okay, so the Packers are favored by 1 point here. I'm taking the Packers to win. The Chargers, but not Chargers, I'm sorry. The Raiders played good last week against the Chargers. I thought Aiden O'Connell played pretty good as a rookie quarterback here who took under center under Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought he looked better and more poised than Jimmy Garoppolo, but I just don't know how much more of Aiden O'Connell that we're going to see this season unless something drastic happens to Jimmy G and he can't play for the rest of the year. But the Packers take advantage of this weak Vegas defense. Their defense is just horrific. Their defensive line is really the only thing that they got. They got Max Crosby, and Chandler Jones isn't even there right now. He just got himself arrested just recently, so who knows if he's playing. There's secondary players like Marcus Peters, who's aging, isn't really making much of a difference here. Their offense is in a bit of question. Their offensive line gave up a lot of sacks last week, so they've been giving up some big time plays last week against the Chargers defense with Khalil Mack getting 6 sacks on Aiden O'Connell. That's embarrassing. One guy getting all 6 sacks, like, come on, that's ridiculous. So I don't know if I really can trust the Raiders right now. I don't know if I can even trust Josh McDaniels. I would rather put all my money in right now for Green Bay, Jordan Love, and Matt LaFleur to win this game. I feel the Packers are a team that many people are overlooking because there's no more Aaron Rodgers. And when you don't have Aaron Rodgers, your teams tend to look very different. We saw that with the Jets. They look completely different. They went from a Super Bowl contender to now being a team that could just barely be fighting for a playoff spot. So with that being said, I feel like this is going to be an interesting game. I think it will be a game that's kind of like kept in the loop and people will kind of go in there and play well and everything. But I think the Packers win. I think the Packers right now are the overall better team. And put my trust more into Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur than I would with Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell. If Aiden O'Connell plays in this game, it could be more competitive, but I don't see him playing against a good secondary of Green Bay in this game. That will be a very tough matchup for them. So Green Bay to win, Green Bay to cover the spread at 1. And with all that being said, everybody, that concludes my Week 5 picks for the NFL season for 2023. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. If you're already watching Thursday Night Football, I know Justin Fields got me some fantasy points again. I'm going to look up the score right now, but last I checked, it was the Bears that were up 10-0, and now they're up 17-0. That's absolutely embarrassing right now with how well they're playing. Unbelievable. So that's what it's looking like right now, guys. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about my picks this week. It's your boy James. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.